The Taming of the Shrew, presented by Stephanie Hudson, Michael Huddleston, Matthew Humphreys, and Caden Lewis. This is Michael Huddleston presenting the summary. The Taming of the Shrew is actually a play inside of a play. The events that play out to be the story of the Taming of the Shrew are actually done by actors inside the play. It starts out as a tinker, Christopher Sly, being tricked to believe he is a lord who is delirious. Before he can spend time alone with his new wife, a page boy dressed in women's clothing, actors come out to perform for him the main story of the Taming of the Shrew. In the Italian city of Paraduna, Lucentio, a rich man, arrives with his servants Benedello and Torino. His goal is to attend the local university. He then falls for Bianca, a young, pretty woman. But the problems are that she already has two suitors and a sister that needs to be married before her declared from her father. The plan was for Lucentio to become her Latin tutor, and Torino becomes Lucentio to debate terms of getting the daughters married. While Hortensio, one of the other suitors, becomes another one of her tutors. The elder sister's problem is solved when Hortensio brings his friend Petruccio, who is looking for a wife. He only cares for the dowry, and not what the wife is like. He agrees to the marriage without ever meeting or seeing her. Petruccio goes to Baptista's house to meet her, and they have a nasty exchange of words. He forces the set of a wedding that Sunday, against her wishes. Petruccio is late to his own wedding. He arrives wearing ridiculous clothing, and on a terrible horse. He makes leave before the feast, with his new wife in tow, the beginning of the taming of the elder sister, also known as the Shrew. She was forced to go without food or sleep, all in the pretending that the food or bed was beneath her, in the name of love.
Hi, I'm Caden, and I am doing the second half of the summary. Back in Padua, Luciento, the false tutor, woes Bianca with use of a Latin love poem. Hortensio tried the same with a music lesson but failed, and then decided to marry a wealthy widow instead after he failed to marry her. Genio convinces her father of the marriage, but only for a large sum of money, with the condition that Luciento's father must present the money. They must find a person to act as his father. They decided on an old schoolmaster, but Luciento runs off with Bianca, and they go ahead and marry in private. Catherine, the older sister, and Petruccio begin the long trek back home. On the road, her will is tested as she is forced to see the truth in lies that he tells her, such as in saying that the sun is the moon, etc. They meet Luciento's real father, who travels back with them. When they arrive back in Padua, Vincento is of course surprised to see that a servant was taking the place of his son. Bianca and Luciento return to announce their marriage, to which both fathers agreed. Hortensio's wedding then takes place. Everyone is shocked to see that Catherine is now tamed. She even goes and chides the other wives for not being obedient to their husbands. The three husbands have a wager to see whose wife would be the most obedient. They expect that Bianca would come through, but in fact, it was Catherine who was the most obedient in the end. The others must then accept that she has been rightfully tamed. And at the end of the play, Catherine and her husband, Petruccio, go to bed.
Michael Huddleston playing Hortensio.
I'm Stephanie, playing Katharina.
I'm Matthew, and I'm playing Petruccio.
Michael Huddleston back, playing also Hortensio.
And I am Caden, being the cameraman.
Come on, in God's name, once more toward our fathers. Good Lord, how bright and goodly shines the moon.
The moon, the sun. It is not moonlight now.
I say it is the moon that shines so bright.
I know it is the sun that shines so bright.
Now, by my mother's son, and that is myself, it shall be moon, or star, or what I list, or ere I journey to your father's house. Go on, and fetch our horses back again, evermore crossed and crossed, nothing but crossed.
Say as he says, or we shall never go.
Forward, I pray, since we have come so far, and be it moon, or sun, or what you please, and if you please to call it a rush candle, henceforth I vow it shall be so for me.
I say it is the moon.
I know it is the moon.
Nay, then you lie, for it is the blessed sun.
Then God be blessed, it is the blessed sun. But sun it is not, when you say it is not, and the moon changes even as your mind. What will you have it named? Even that it is, and so it shall be so for Katharina.
Petruchio, go thy ways, this field is one.
Well, forward, forward, lest the bull should run, and not unluckily against the bias. But soft, company is coming here. Good morrow, gentle mistress, where away? Tell me, sweet Kate, and tell me truly too, hast thou beheld a fresher gentlewoman, such war of white and red within her cheeks? What stars do spangle heaven with such beauty, as those two eyes become that heavenly face? Fair lovely maid, once more good day to thee. Sweet Kate, embrace her for her beauty's sake.
I will make the man mad to make a woman out of him.
Young budding virgin, fair and fresh and sweet, whither away, or where is thy abode? Happy the parents of so fair a child, happier the man whom favorable stars allot thee for his lovely bedfellow.
Why, how now, Kate? I hope thou art not mad. This is a man, old, wrinkled, faded, withered, and not a maiden as thou sayest he is.
Pardon, old father, my mistaking eyes, that have been so bedazzled with the sun, that everything I look on seemeth green. Now I perceive thou art a reverend father. Pardon, I pray thee, for my mad mistaking.
Do, good old grandsire, and withal make known which way thou travellest. If along with us, we shall be joyful of thy company.
Fair sir, and you, my merry mistress, that with your strange encounter much amazed me. But my name is called Vicentio, my dwelling Pisa, and I am bound I am to Paduna, there to visit a son of mine, which I have not yet seen.
What is his name?
Vicentio, gentle sir.
Happily we met, the happier for thy son. And now by law, as well as reverend age, I may entitle thee my loving father, the sister to my wife, this gentlewoman, thy son by this hath married. Wonder not, nor be grieved, she is of good esteem, her dowry wealthy, and of worthy birth. Beside, so qualified as may beseem the spouse of any noble gentleman. Let me embrace with old Vicentio, and wander we to see thy honest son, who will of thy arrival be full joyous.
But is it true? Or else is it just your pleasure, like pleasant travelers, to break upon a company you overtake? I assure thee, father, it is as they say.
Come, go along, and see the truth hereof, for our first merriment hath made thee jealous.
Well, Petruchio, this has put me in heart. Have my widow, and if she is to be forward, then haste thou taught Horcentio to be untoward.
This is Stephanie, and I will be going over the famous quotes and vocabulary from Taming of the Shrew. There are a few famous quotes from Taming of the Shrew. A few of them are conversations, and the first one is a conversation between Petruchio and Catherine. Petruchio says, "Come, come, you wasp. If faith you are too angry." Catherine says, "If I be waspish, best beware my sting." Petruchio says, "My remedy is then to pluck it out. Ay, if the fool could find where it lies. Who knows not where a wasp does wear his sting? In his tail, in his tongue. Whose tongue? Yours, if you talk of tails, and so farewell. What, with my tongue in your tail?" And basically, Petruchio is saying that if Catherine is a wasp, she has like an attitude, and so that's kind of how she's acting. And she says, "If that's how I am, then you better beware of what she would say to him." So later, Petruchio says to Kate, he says, "Thus in plain terms your father hath consented that you shall be my wife. Your dowry agreed on, and will you, nill you, I will marry you. Now, Kate, I am a husband for your turn. For by this light, whereby I see thy beauty that doth make me like thee well, thou must be married to no man but me, for I am born to tame you, Kate, and bring you from a wild Kate to a Kate, conformable as other household Kates. Here comes your father. Never make denial. I must and will have Catherine to my wife." And later, Catherine, after she is tamed, she says, "Thy husband is thy lord, thy life, thy keeper, thy head, thy sovereign, one that cares for thee, and for thy maintenance commits his body to painful labour both by sea and land, to watch the night in storms, the day in cold, whilst thou liest warm at home, secure and safe, and craves no other tribute at thy hands but love, fair looks, and true obedience, too little payment for so great a debt." And then after this, Catherine says to Petruchio, "Then God be blessed, it is the blessed sun. A sun is not when you say it is not, and the moon changes even as your mind. What you will have it named, even that it is, and so it shall be for Catherine." And this is when Catherine and Petruchio are having a discussion, and Catherine agrees with everything that Petruchio says because he's the one that's saying it, and he is just always right. And there are a few vocabulary words from Taming of the Shrew. So Shakespeare used the word bedazzled to describe a gleam of sunlight, but we use it to describe things that are shiny or sparkly. And they used the word amazed, and he says, "And I stood there amazed for a while," and we all know that it means to be full of awe. Later, sobriety, maid's mild behavior and sobriety, and it's when you're not drinking alcohol. And then bashful, her affability and bashful modesty, which means you're kind of shy. Arrogance, oh monstrous arrogance is how Shakespeare uses it. And attire, he hath something meaning in his mad attire. We know that's your choice of clothing. And crave, if she deny to be wed, I'll crave the day, which means you really want that or desire that. So.
I'm Matthew, and this is my slide. Though it is not the first comedy, nor is it the first comedy based around romance, this play is incredibly clever with its characters' personalities and interactions. In addition, the idea of the play itself is one laced with creativity. By having the play centered around interactions between Petruchio and Katharina, whom have drastically contrasting personalities, Shakespeare opens the way for several comedic scenes. The character dynamic between the two adds a witty yet light-hearted feel to the play. Therefore, while the basis for a comedy romance story isn't the newest thing ever. The way in which Shakespeare went about it was both creative and effective. The sources and inspirations of the play. There are two plots within the Taming of the Shrew, that of Petruchio and Katharina's, and that of Bianca and her many suitors. The plot following Bianca was derived from George Gascon's comedy Supposes, written in 1566. That comedy was derived from Suppositi, a play written in 1509 by Ludovico Ariosto. And there is not much known over the originality of the plot between Petruchio and Katharina. The only known inspirations are the numerous ballads over the taming of the shrewish women, although they are not confirmed to be his sources.